Today and yesterday as well, I've been playing the Tokon Fighting Souls beta just for a couple of hours, yesterday for less than an hour, and today just for a little bit more than an hour. I went back to the R16 and I wanted to say to my surprise, but it's not really a surprise, I much preferred playing on this controller. I do have to say that I'm a lot more used to the shadow hunting switches I've installed in this one. It still was a much better experience with this one simply because of having the pinky button again, while I had to convince myself to drag myself away from Hollow Knight Silksong, which was difficult, I'll have you know. I came to the quick realization that to participate in the beta, which I wanted to because I really wanted to play the game and see what it's like. It's awesome, but this is not what the video is about. But yeah, I really enjoy the game so far. I realized that I will not be able to play it with my 8BitDo arcade controller because this controller, as I mentioned in my video about it, is not PS5 compatible. And as far as I know, there's also no way around this. Like there's no adapter that actually makes it compatible. Or maybe there is, but at least in my research, I couldn't find one. It's not like I would have had it available for the beta anyway. So I decided to go back to the R16. And I quickly realized while using the R16, I still so much prefer this controller over the 8BitDo. Like this one is convenient, right? The build structure is cool. It looks cool. And the wireless part, right? You can't beat that part. Like the fact that it is wireless is just absolutely amazing. But this button here is completely useless to me. I didn't ever use this button in any of my other Haute42 controllers either. And that is why I like the R16 so much, because of the pinky button. And I found especially for games where you have a tagging mechanic, that using this with your pinky, because you don't really use the tag button for anything else other than assist and tagging. So you don't really have a dexterity requirement when it comes to pressing that button. So you can just play normally, and then whenever you want to tag, you can just hit it, right? Granted, you can do the same thing here, but the problem I find with these two buttons, you will have to move your thumb, right? I don't really use this button because my left thumb is doing nothing. Technically speaking, this button would make more sense, right? Technically speaking, like all things considered, I should have a button here, and this one is technically optional, but I'm very used to this one by now. But yeah, so having a pinky button for tag is, I think, really beneficial. So just for that alone, the R16 prevails in my opinion, but also other things like the actual ergonomics of the controller. Like they are fairly similar, right? They are very similar, but I do find that the actual shape of the buttons and the way they behave on this one still makes for a much more comfortable experience. Having said that, I am very much used to the shadow hunting switches by now, the travel of them, the way they feel, right? And like the ease of input. It's not like you're straining yourself. These are already wind engine switches anyway. But I do feel that I want to try the shadow hunting switches on this one as well. I have a second R16. Before I just rip out the switches on this one, I'll probably just install shadow hunting switches on the other one to have like a direct comparison. When I go back to Street Fighter, when Sea Viper arrives, I'm not sure I want to be using this controller. Like for the Switch 2, maybe, right? Because having the wireless option available is cool. However, on the Switch 2, as I mentioned before, it's not great. So what I wanted to say is that the pinky button on this one is actually a lot more interesting when it comes to functionality, especially for these types of games where you have tag options. So that means that games like 2XKO, which is maybe gonna come out at some point, I don't know. I think they also have like some sort of beta thing going on that's gonna go on indefinitely or something, right? I have no idea. I've lost all interest in that game when they came out with it. It's like a handful of characters at launch, right? Going forward, after testing the R16 with shadow hunting switches, might be what I want to go with in the future. I think for Tekken, this will be my go-to choice. Simply because like I don't need anything else here, right? It's just, I have my profile already set up and the buttons are working the way they should, right? I have toned here. It's two different tones. One is for Lisa and one is for Reina. And this is my restart macro for the training mode, right? But for Street Fighter, yeah, it's gonna be, I think I'm gonna go back to this one. It just feels a lot better for what I want to do. But again, shadow hunting switches test first, and then we'll see which way to go. But that's gonna be it for today. Like, I just wanted to talk about like that. This was the first time that I actually got to use this controller on the PS5 for an extended duration. as that was the first time I actually played a fighting game properly on the PS5 outside of Guilty Gear Strive, which at the time I was playing on Hitbox anyway. That was before I had any of these other options. I have nothing else to say really. This was just an impromptu video because I wanted to talk about my experience using this controller on a PS5 in Tokon Fighting Souls and what it made me think about using this controller this entire time on my PC with Tekken and Street Fighter 6. So I guess this is it for today. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, as per usual, any type of video game controller emojis or whatever if you have nothing else to say, but that way I know you made it to the end somehow through my rambling. And yeah, so I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Recording a video with any sort of notes in front of me, actually a lot more difficult than I thought it would, because usually I either have the teleprompter in front of me with notes or with the actual script, one of the two. So I have something to look at that I don't get off track, because without it, I found just even within this video now that I just keep talking about everything. So using the teleprompter, even if you don't use it as a teleprompter, helps a lot with just keeping yourself on track without losing focus, without going off script and doing whatever, right? Just keep looking at this button right now and it looks kind of broken now that I think about it.